Pep Talk UK, Pro Beez. Remember, subscribe. And I'm delighted to be joined once more after a little while. Trainer Mark Tibbs, how are you?
Lovely, Pro Beez. Good to see you again, mate. How you keeping?
I'm keeping well. You know, it's good to catch up. I mean, it's been a long while. I know you have been busy with Billy Joe Saunders ahead of his fight this weekend with Martin Murray. How have preparations gone so far?
Yeah, well, listen, preparations have gone really, really smooth. We've done a little bit in London, in the UK for I'll say a little bit. I think, I guess we've done about a month in the UK back then. Then Billy took us to Fuerteventura, one of the Canary Islands, which he enjoys training there. He took us to Adam Bailey's gym in Fuerteventura. It's now one of MTK's bases. So that was a wonderful gym, and I really enjoyed it. And it was a really, really good camp, I've got to say. One of the best so far. Yeah.
I suppose there hasn't been any sort of getting to know each other because you know Billy from a long time before. And he's gone on to do great things, become a two-weight world champion. So there's not really too much you need to know about him. But I suppose it's just fine-tuning a guy that's already at the top of his game.
Yeah, well, my father trained Billy Joe Saunders from Billy's debut when he was 17 years old. And I was on that journey with him. So I know Billy Joe very, very well. And we went through... him and my dad went through a southern area right through to the world title, So I was on that journey, and I know Billy very, very, very well. He's a very, very accomplished, skillful fighter. I still believe there's more there to come, and I really believe that he's punching hard and all. He's punching hard, but I'm not encouraging him to sit there and be a slugger, but. Since I last worked with him, I can feel the maturity in his physicality, if you know what I mean, Pro Beez.
No, definitely. I think, we've always known Billy Joe as a slickster. I mean, I remember the old trad gym in East London. Yeah. That's the first time I actually met Billy Joe for the first time, because a mate of mine used to box a guy called Manny Muhammad, a friend of Billy Joe's. And that's the first time I saw at first hand, they were sparring that day. And that's the first time I saw the class of Billy Joe. And my mate, he's good. And he said, you know what, when Billy Joe's on form, you can't even lay a glove on him. He's that slick. When he's on it, he's that slick. Well,
I remember talking about the TKO gym. I remember that was a fantastic part of my education as a professional boxing trainer, I've got to say. But I'll never forget, someone said to my dad once about Billy Joe Saunders, and I heard it, I can see it now as clear as a bell. He said to my dad, Jim, what's his chin like? This is Billy Joe like. And my dad looked at me and went, we don't know. He's not been hit yet. It was that. So he's very, very slippery, and he's hard to hit. But I remember that day very, very well. But I do remember him taking a shot off a cruiserweight, and he held it well, very well. That was a little while after that time that man answered that question. But no, he's a natural. He's a natural, and I believe that. I believe that people like Usyk and Usyk and Lomachenko. I believe it's part of his career right now where he can really, really iron out any lifestyle negatives that he has got. If he was to iron them out, and he will do, and he's doing that. I believe there's more magic to come from Billy Joe Saunders for sure. And people like Usyk and Lomachenko are going to look at him and want to be like him. You get me? And that's what I believe. I believe he's there's even more from Billy Joe Saunders, even more. I really do. He's a very, 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 very clever operator.
No doubt. The boxing IQ is there, but you know, this year in particular, we've seen a lot of upsets, and I think that's mainly due to a number of reasons. Competition, you know, has improved. I think number two as well, people have really got one chance to take this year because there's less fights.
Absolutely.
And number three, obviously, preparations as well are all over the place at the moment. So that's another factor. But against Martin Murray, now you talked about beforehand, right? Now, what I remember interviewing Martin Murray probably a few years back when they were meant to fight a few years. And Martin Murray wanted to set the record straight with Billy Joe at the time because there was a lot of to and fro. Billy said, I'll do you for a straightener, as you don't believe me, you know, that I pulled out for injury. And there was a lot of animosity between the two beforehand. Yeah. So Martin Murray this weekend will be coming with a purpose to try and dethrone Billy Joe. There is some old animosity there.
For sure. I remember that period. I wasn't involved with Billy then, but I do remember that period. And Martin Murray's no walkover for sure. He's tough and he's never ever going to switch off. He's got a fighting heart. He's got a fighting mindset. And myself and Billy know what Martin Murray's all about. And so we cannot underestimate or switch off for 1 second of this fight with Martin Murray. He's a real warrior, and he's a tough man for sure.
Has there been any regrets from Billy Joe about the Canelo fight? Because Callum Smith has stepped forward and having that fight next month, and it's a big fight. You know, fans are allowed back in Texas, and it's for all the marbles. It's a big fight. And is there some sort of regret from Billy Joe, or is he happy with his decision not to put himself in the running for that fight with Canelo?
We haven't. I'll be honest with you. We haven't. In the 2 months I've been out in Fuerteventura, I might have been over there a little bit longer, but we've kept an eye on things and seen how things are panning out. But we've concentrated on Martin Murray, and that's the God's honest truth. Yeah, I'm excited about the Canelo fight with Smith for sure. But no, there ain't no second guessing from Billy Joe Saunders or myself with that fight. And we just want to concentrate what's on in front of us, and then yeah, once that's done, you know, I'm sure MTK will sit down with Billy Joe and plan out if we're successful versus Martin Murray on Friday.
All right. You mentioned your old man earlier in the conversation. Obviously, he was involved in that big fight between Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce over the weekend. And a lot of people are praising the game plan implemented by Joe Joyce. How did you see that fight?
It was a flawless performance by Joe Joyce, I must say. He done a wonderful performance. I think his jab was excellent. He looked relaxed. He looked comfortable. There were a couple of moments he had to put the guard up, sort of thing. But his feet were beautiful. I think he hardly let his backhand go, if I'm right in saying that. And but I think if Daniel Dubois never bowed out, I think he was looks like stopping Daniel Dubois, I think. But I was very disappointed with Daniel Dubois, like everyone else, because you know, I've been around Daniel in the same gym as him. You know, he's with his group.
Peacocks,
and, yeah, Peacock, and I'm with my group, or you know, whoever I'm with. But so I felt like, you know, he was a gym friend. You know what I mean? So, but I was disappointed with what happened. But no, credit to Joe Joyce. He done a wonderful job, and Sam Jones called it and had every bit of confidence in his fighter, and it was a good fight. And I got to say, I think that's the best I've seen him, because he always looks uncoordinated to me, Joe Joyce, but he certainly didn't against Dubois. No, it was a good fight. He done well. Well done to him.
You say you was disappointed with Daniel Dubois at the time taking the knee, but is there an argument to say that he was simply trying to preserve his eyesight?
Well, let me tell you this, Pro Beez. Look, this is how it is. I think most of it was all about a bit experience. The journey Joe Joyce has been through, and versus the journey Daniel Dubois has been through. You know what I mean? You have to be prepped for certain things that are going to happen in a fight. And he had 2 rounds to go, and he had 2 rounds to go, right? 2 rounds to go. And I believe if he was a little bit more experienced, he could have diffused and boxed around, maybe held even, wait a time, get a warning off the referee, etc. Them little tricks of the trade, which I never saw in Daniel, not once, and I'd like to see it again, because I remember Daniel Dubois being very sharp and a very straight shooter, almost amateur-like. But even if he played that game a little bit more than he did, I believe that Joe Joyce just had that height, that reach, that big man, and most importantly, he had that pedigree that Daniel ain't got. And so, looking back, it might have been a bit too early for him. It might have been a bit too early for him. But the pandemic and the fight fans were calling out for it, and big up to both of them fighters for stepping up and having that fight. So Daniel never got beaten up along the way. He never got beaten up along the way, although it was disappointing the way he quit, sort of thing. But if he is going to continue to fight, he's young enough. He's young enough, and like I say, he never took a beating. He just got schooled. He got schooled. Yeah.
Just to conclude, Mark, I got to ask you, if you were in the corner that night for Dubois, would you have contemplated throwing the towel in?
I wasn't in the corner, so it's a difficult question to ask me, and I can't imagine what the feeling I was getting from my fighter, and that would have been Daniel Dubois. So, and it's not fair for me to answer that, because you have a bond with your fighter, your fighter, and his corner felt at the time probably that he had 2 rounds to go, and he should have found a way. He was in the fight. But I personally had Joe Joyce 2 up, and but you got to fight to the end, man. He had 2 rounds left. I know it was his leading eye, but I know it was his leading eye, and it's never it was a deep waters for him. I could see it in his body language. But he'll learn. If he's going to continue to fight, he'll learn. And but like I say, all credit to Joe Joyce. He done a really, really good job that night. He done a fantastic job.
All right, Mark. Well, I'd like to wish you all the best for this weekend, and we'll catch up real soon.
Good man. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Mark. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Pet Talk. Make sure you subscribe.